welcome back to my channel, Fabulously Frugal and Fancy. Today I'm going to show you how I redo a table, a cheap, inexpensive way to update, upgrade, upcycle, however you want to call it, a table that I got at the thrift store a few years ago for $5. And it is a beautiful table. It's wooden. I had always planned on sanding it, restaining it. There was paint on it and some old stickers. It is a fold-out table. Like, it folds up pretty small, fits against the wall. I will show you all of that, so stay tuned and I'll talk back with you at the end. Alright, so here's the table. It's just a simple wooden table that folds out. It's nice in the fact that it slides away into practically nothing and can fit up against a wall. So as you can see, there's some marks on it. It's old stickers that were stuck to it. I just cleaned it off first, give it a clean slate to start with. And right there, I did not realize that there was a little sharp edge on the side, and I got a splinter in my finger. So if you could see me doing that a little bit. Alright, this is the contact paper I used, and I will link that below. I got mine off Amazon. Pretty inexpensive, was not real expensive. I use a razor blade. This is my Craftsman. A scraper and some scissors. That's all that you need for this. And of course the contact paper. This is a large roll that would cover 25 square feet. I did not use all of it, obviously, but I used enough to cover the table. So I did not actually measure with like a measuring tape. I just took it. I left enough to go under the edge and enough to come down over the sides. So on each end, I just used the Lysol wipes there to weigh it down. Still kind of pulled a little bit, but I leave plenty excess on each side, and on the sides, so that I can overlap all of the edges. Because like I said, there was a rough spot that had like a little splinter. I just lay it out. And then I'm trying to find the center of the table, scooting it down, so I don't have a lot more overhang on one side than I do on the other. And then you just peel off a little. I don't do a lot. You do need to work in small sections. So I'm lining that up and just wrapping it under, just securing the very end at this point. And then I'm taking my scraper and I just smooth out the edges, any air bubbles you can smooth out. And then I just slowly move that underneath the lining away so that I can smooth down the next section. And I just work my way down the table, one small section at a time. And yes, this table does fold, so there are little slits in the table. I wanted the table, the pattern, to match when it was open up like this, so I did not go around those edges. So later on, I took a straight edge, laid it at the little slit right there, and just used my razor knife and cut slits in it so that I could fold the table back down. And again, just working in very small sections. This is removable, so if you make a mistake, you get it totally crooked, you can raise it back up, and actually I do that in just a little bit. So I work slow and steady. I've got this on speed up, but it's about double the time that it actually took. So I just peel off that backing a little at a time, and then I smooth it over the edge. And then I start on the other side. Just again measuring, letting it hang over the end. I do overlap my pieces slightly there in the center. I just cut a little spot to show me where I'm cutting. The backing does have those little grid marks, so I can cut a straight line, because if you know me at all, I cannot cut straight lines. I can if they're drawn for me, but otherwise, if I don't measure with a straight edge and cut a straight line, it will be crooked. So again, I just start the second piece, same as I did the first. I start peeling. This side does not go quite as smoothly as the other one did. You will see I do have to redo this one because it got crooked. Some right here, very at the beginning, it got crooked. So didn't realize it till I got to the other end of the table. But somewhere right here, it got crooked. This is a very simple way to upcycle a tabletop, or you can do it with a cabinet. You can do contact paper. It's a little bit easier than sanding and painting. It's quick and easy. This took me not very long at all. And I'm just trying to work out some air bubbles there with my little scraper tool, is what I call it. It came with my Silhouette Curio machine for vinyl. Works very well for contact paper as well. You just use it. It works the same way as those little scrapers. This is a large one because my Silhouette Curio has a very large cutting mat as well. So some of the pieces are larger. So it came with both of the little scrapers, this one and a small one. But it works very well for smoothing out any air bubbles in the contact paper. Just do a section at a time. And like I said, I do make a big mistake and have to pull up this entire side and start over. Because as I'm pulling it down, it separates, so there's a gap where it's overlapped the other piece up here at this end. By the time I get to the other end, there's a gap in between them, and I don't like that. So I just wanted a smooth surface. Again, a very easy way to redo a table, just to freshen it up and give it a new life. This table, I could paint the bottom white or black. It's wood. I don't really see a need to. I'm using it as my craft table. I believe I tell you that at the beginning of this video, but it's just easy for me to leave the bottom. It's easier. It's not a statement piece. It's not going to be seen by anybody really. It's for making my crafts and filming my videos. This is going to be the table I work on from now on. The other table was very messy, and to keep this one clean, I do have some mats, and my mats are always messy too. I'm a messy crafter. When I'm painting, I get paint on my hands and I get paint on my surface. That's why I usually use a mat of some sort. But and here I'm just pulling it back. Like I said, it does pull up pretty easily, and it's stuck really well, but and I'm just putting the backing, kind of sliding it back under there so that it doesn't stick to itself, because once it sticks to itself, it is not easy for it to come apart. Now I'm looking for something a lot heavier to hold down that end so it doesn't shift again as I'm pulling out the backing this time, because I believe that's what happened. So I just start this side all over again, lining up my ends here, trying to work out the bubbles. Gotta grab my tools. I should have had that down there where I needed it to begin with, but and picking up my trash because now it was in my way. And because I'm repositioning it, it was a little bit tougher at the very beginning to get it without the bubbles. So just keep that in mind if you do have to lift it up and reposition it. Sometimes it doesn't go down quite as easily it doesn't always start as easily the second time. And as you can see, my weight on the end is not really holding it either, which does not end up being an issue this time. And if you see an air bubble, you can just work from the air bubble and just squeegee. It's basically like a plastic squeegee. And you just want to squeegee that out. The reason you want to clean your surface so well to begin with is because you want to make sure there's no debris on the table, because when you scrape, if there's something under it, say even glitter or sand or anything, then you could cut it with this scraper and then you could have a big hole and have to start all over again, which would not be fun. But I just work slow and steady from one end to the other, pulling back that backing once again. And I do not believe I videoed when we cut with the razor blade, because I actually needed another person to help me, and he held the straight edge for me so that I could keep again, I do not cut straight lines. Even when there's a little groove underneath, it was just easier to have somebody hold a long T-squared at the end of the table and push it down while I took the razor blade and I just put it in that little groove from where the table folds down, and I just cut those slits so the table can fold and slide up against the wall, because this room is multi-purpose. I'm using this room for multiple reasons, and so when I'm crafting, this table can be out, and when I'm not crafting, it can be right up against the table, out of the way, so that the other parts of the room can be used for other things. It is also my little editing area over there in the corner. So I'm just smoothing out any other little air bubbles I see. If you see an air bubble, you want to try to squeegee it out. Push it from the bubble all the way to the side to get the air out of it. And cleaning out my trash. Now I'm going to cut, if you remember, the table folds up, and I'm just cutting so that I can fold down the ends without, because there's a little drawer under there, so I don't want to cover that with so I'm cutting off the excess, and I'm just holding it and trimming away the excess that I don't need in that little center part, and just pulling that down so it does not cover the drawer. And there's nothing for this to really wrap under, it just goes over the edge of the table there. And then I want to cut the corners so that I can basically wrap it like a present at the ends. And the pieces there had stuck together to each other, and that makes it a little difficult to get them apart. It's easier to pull off of a surface than it is to pull the contact paper off of itself. Now this is a marbled look, so it does look really nice when it's finished. I am happy with the way that it turned out, and I think it'll make a great place to craft, to film my crafting videos on this table, just so that it's, see here, I was thinking that maybe I could just cut this myself, and then I was like, no, I think I'm gonna need a straight edge for that. So I just close up my knife, finish off the edges and the corners, because I want this to wrap around and underneath, just to secure it a little bit better so that it has a little bit more area. Now with contact paper, if you're going around a corner, you can use a blow dryer, excuse me, and heat it up slightly to go around the edges and kind of form those edges a little bit better. If this was going to be something that was being used by other people, I would probably have done that. Since I'm the only one using this, I am not too worried that I'm going to pull it off or that I'm going to rub it off enough underneath the table to pull it off. But you can heat those corners. It does make it easier to go around the edges and the corners if you just use a blow dryer. Nothing too hot, just a blow dryer on like light heat. The heat will also adhere that glue a little bit firmer, so don't do that until you know it's in the place you want it to be. If you heat it up and then try to move it, it's going to be a lot harder because the heat activates that glue a little bit more. And see here, you can kind of see a little bit more of what I'm doing here. I just pull it down and around to cover that edge, but there is a drawer underneath there, so I don't want to cover up the drawer. So that's why I cut that little slit in there. And I'm sorry I blocked that with my head. But I'm just cutting the corners here. And you can see where I wrap it one piece under, just to the side there, just so that it doesn't come off. And then I trim the excess away. And then I wrap the side flap down over and around, pulling it tightly. And I'm rubbing it down with my finger. And then pulling it tightly underneath. And there is my finished edge. I think it looks very nice when I tuck it under that way, so that there's not a raw edge there. Just makes it look more complete. Gives it that finished look. And I'm just completing this. I did this on the other 3 sides. This is the last side. Rubbing it down. I had already cut off the excess. And there we go. It's all done. And I think that looks really nice. I think it came out really well. I'm really happy with how that turned out, the completed look. And here's what the table looks like. You can see that marbled look. You'll see it a lot more in my videos. And you kind of can tell where the contact papers overlap, especially in this bright light with my camera lights on. That's okay. I'm not too worried about it because, again, this is for crafting. This is not for, anything else. But I like how it turned out. I hope you enjoyed that easy way to redo a table. I enjoyed it. I wanted a clean white surface so that actually when I'm crafting and videoing it, my one is so messy, it's so bad. So I just decided to cover this table with contact paper, make it pretty, and also make it a pleasant thing so when I'm filming my DIYs, it does not look like a hot mess, which it did. I am a very messy crafter. I'm not sure if anybody who is not, but if you like this video, if you like any way to save money, being frugal, fancy, and on a tight budget, please subscribe, like this video, leave me a comment below, let me know what you think of the table. Bye, have a great day.